So let's get started, shall we? Really excited to have you here with us today on our Lunch and Learn focused on OfficeSpace Assets. I'm Allie. For those of you that haven't met me yet, I'm Director of Client Journey here, and I'm going to be guiding the session along with Sahara and Fallon from our product team. So before we dive in, we will be sharing a link so that you can claim your lunch. So keep an eye out for that. Always important to get fed. And this is also meant to be interactive. So if you have any questions at any point, you can put them into the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll be watching that. If we don't answer them kind of during the demo portion on sort of the demo that we're doing here, we'll try and address those at the end. We have some time as well to get those answered for you. And if they still don't get answered, reach out. We'd love to talk to you. So we're happy to continue the conversation with you. All right. And so today I'm going to be joined by two of our leaders who are driving the future of asset management at OfficeSpace, and that's Sahara, our VP of Product Management, and Fallon, our Senior Product Manager for Assets. They have both been shaping the roadmap for this module from the very beginning, working closely with a lot of you who are here as well to prioritize what matters the most. And if you're just starting to explore asset management, it's really worth noting that this was co-created. And that means it was built in partnership with our clients to solve real world need. And that partnership just doesn't end now that it's out. So your feedback really continues to guide us with what we're building next, so you get even more value from the platform. So please keep that feedback coming. We read it, it's important. And we want to make sure that we're giving you what you actually need to manage your assets. All right, so next 30 minutes or so, what we're going to be covering, we're going to do a quick refresher of what we have already launched with assets, just to make sure everyone's up to speed with what's available today. Then we're going to look live at what's brand new. Those are the custom fields and mobile asset scanning. Super excited to show you that. And then we're previewing what's coming next. And so calendar view and floor plan visualization. And I know you've been wanting this. I've been seeing a lot of the clients asking about this. So really excited to be able to show how you're going to be able to easily find assets on your floors and to support those maintenance teams as well. And then finally, we're going to give you a peek at what's coming up next on our roadmap. So we got some exciting little things to show you there as well. So like I said, we're going to have some time at the end for Q&A. So keep those questions going. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our product team.
Great. Thank you so much, Allie. Before we jump in, I'd like to pose a question to the group to help set context on assets that are most important to you. So if you could, please scan the QR code and chime in. We'd love to hear what type of assets you manage in your day-to-day. We'll give folks a few moments to respond here and we'll pull up the results. And we'll have QR codes throughout the session, so feel free to keep your phone out for responses and feedback. All right, it looks like we've got a pretty even breakdown, facilities and supplies so far. Give folks another moment here just in case you had to go run to get your phone. Amazing. All right, well, we really appreciate the feedback. So a good breakdown between facilities and our OfficeSpace assets. We'll move into kicking off with a quick look back at what we launched when we first launched OfficeSpace Assets, just to ground today's conversation before we move into our new capabilities. So for those who may have missed our last webinar, we covered the functionality that we launched with, which includes our asset lists and details. Our platform provides a really intuitive UI for tracking everything from office, IT, and capital assets across your portfolio. It's essentially time to say goodbye to those pesky spreadsheets. With an easy to configure form, it's a solution that essentially allows you to have a single source of truth for all of your asset overview information, your maintenance schedules, your linked assets, and documentation, whether you want to track warranties, instruction manuals, as well as financial details for across the life cycle of those assets. We also reviewed our work order management. This allows you to create reactive and preventative maintenance requests that are related to assets, including automating and managing those work orders seamlessly, setting those recurring schedules, as well as critical alerts so that you can ensure you're ready when an asset is either nearing end of life or has an upcoming warranty for expiration. And then in our reports and dashboards, we reviewed how reports can make it easy to track procurement and calculate lifecycle costs of assets so that you can budget and allocate resources accordingly. Our dashboards provide a quick glance at all of the assets that are distributed across your portfolio. This includes assets by type, location, and highlighting that utilization rate for quick and easy access to this information. So if you'd like to watch a video of our last webinar, I encourage you to scan the QR code for a quick replay. And then with that, I will go ahead and hand it off to our senior product manager overseeing assets and one of my favorite people to work with at OfficeSpace, who will walk us through the latest features and demo what we have to look ahead.
Amazing. Thanks, Sahara. So hi everyone. My name's Fallon Thompson. I'm the senior product manager overseeing our assets software. Today I'm going to be demoing two new features that we have recently released. The first being custom fields. High-level overview is the custom fields. We have the ability to now assign custom fields to either assets or work orders. So you can do custom fields for both. The reason behind this is, well, first and foremost, this was by far the most highly requested feature when we were releasing asset management, was the ability to add these custom fields. And we get it, right? You want to track exactly what matters to your team. Data today is the most critical value that we can provide to our end users. And being able to easily get those insights means that you need to be able to track the exact type of data that you want for your assets, as well as your maintenance of those assets. So I'm going to show just real quick what it looks like to add a custom field to both an asset and a work order. So as you can see here, I'm currently on my asset list. In order to add a custom field, I'll go to Data Fields over here. And as you can see, we have our standard fields. These are all of the fields that we believe, from industry best practices that you would need to fill out for a particular asset, but we also have the ability to add custom fields down here. You'll notice that we can add it to multiple different tabs. So just depending on the type of data that you're looking to track, we can either add custom fields to our asset details page, our financial information page for more financial related data points, as well as just additional information, right? That extraneous details that you might want to have on a particular asset that doesn't necessarily fit in either one of those tabs. So I'm going to go ahead and add a custom field to our asset details page. I'll go here and I'm going to I want to start making note of our preferred vendors for each of our assets. I have a lot of HVAC units that I'm currently tracking. I want to make sure that I have it documented somewhere who I need to reach out to in order to, potentially repair, maintain that particular HVAC. So I'll do preferred vendor. Of course, the options for what I can add here are pretty endless. We have multiple different types of input, just depending, again, on your data needs. Short text seems to fit for my particular data need. However, if I wanted to make this, again, a little bit more customizable, I can also set this custom field to only show for certain sites. So let's say I only want to track this data for my New York site, but not necessarily, there's a different team managing the assets for my Chicago, Atlanta site, and I don't want that data to be tracked on those assets. I can easily do that. Similarly with categories, so I have different asset types and asset categories. This likely applies to my facilities assets, but it doesn't really make sense for me to track for my IT assets. So I'll go ahead and select that category. And of course, I can make this field required or not. I'm going to go ahead, since not all of my assets have preferred vendors, I'm going to go ahead and make it not required. So that field is added down there. I'll go to my asset list then, and I'll navigate over to an HVAC unit. And as you can see, because it is a facilities category type, I can put my preferred vendor here. Let's see, my preferred vendor is HC Kool-Aid. Awesome. Now that detail is saved and that data is represented for this particular asset. In order to do that for work orders, it'll look a little bit different. I'll go to the work order setting and I'll go to the types. The way that we separate out custom fields for work orders is by type. Very similar to how we do it for categories and sites for assets. Not all the same data points that you want to track make sense across all of your different work order types. So for instance, my installation, I'll add a custom field for installation. I'll go here, I'll click edit. And it looks like I already have a time spent custom field, but I'm going to go ahead and add another one. Is a vendor required for this particular work order type? You know, when I'm installing, do I need a vendor? Let's, oh, I need to do that. All right, let's do this. And we'll create that field. I'll go over to my work orders. We'll look at my installation. Vendor is in fact required. So now whoever looks at that particular work order type will know that they need to reach out to their preferred vendor for that particular installation, and it can streamline that maintenance process and make it just a little bit easier, a little bit more automated for everyone involved. So I'll go ahead and save changes there. Perfect. So that is how we add custom fields to both our assets and our work order types. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and show you what it looks like to add assets from our mobile app. So give me just a second here to pull this up. Awesome. So I am now in our mobile app that we just released. As you'll see here, I'm currently looking at our dashboard of all of our existing assets in my asset list. Want to show you a couple of different, and actually I'm gonna go off camera to make that a little bit easier for everyone. I want to show what it looks like to add assets and look up assets via a QR code. So I'll click here and go to my asset list, and I'll click this button up here. As you can see on my screen, I have a asset ID for this particular QR code. In this instance, let's say that the QR code is actually physically attached to that particular asset. I'll go ahead and scan that. Boom, because the ID already matched an asset ID that I had within my asset list in assets, that automatically pulls up that particular asset, and I can see all of the details there directly from the mobile app. We know that this mobile app is an absolute must-have for our field teams. They need to be able to see these types of details as well as maintenance work order details directly from their phone. Can't be waiting, going back to the desktop to get this type of information, or worse yet, potentially writing it down. We want those real-time updates, and we want to enable our field teams to be able to make those updates as quickly as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and update the QR code that I have to show you what it looks like if I wanted to add a particular asset via the mobile app. So as you see here, I updated that asset ID. I have a QR code. We'll scan it. It said no matching assets, and it automatically takes me to that create asset workflow. We have this capability within our mobile app called Smart Capture, where it actually, when I take a picture of a particular asset, it uses AI to help me identify what that asset is. So I'll click that. I have my mouse right here. That's the particular asset that I'm trying to get added. We'll add it, and it's analyzing those details. Perfect. And there we go. It correctly identified it as IT equipment. It went ahead and added that ID that I had listed on the QR code. I'll go ahead and fill out really quickly some additional information. I'll go ahead and make it a little bit more specific, add what that subcategory is. The department is me, product, and I'll add that location. We'll say it's in suite 802, and I'll create that asset. And that asset is now a part of my asset list, making it super easy for me to add any additional assets right out in the field where I'm working. So that we also have the ability to look at work orders from the mobile app. So we can take action on mobile apps, update them, and create new work orders for any assets that are out in the field as I'm working on. Perfect. So I will stop sharing there. And I think we can.
Before we jump in, Fallon, we had a couple questions that maybe we can just kind of answer throughout. One was from Kevin on whether we can batch update information in the custom fields.
Right now, we can batch upload. It's not via CSV. We'll be using APIs in order to do that, but we can add custom field information. Yes, via in batches.
Amazing. We also had a question from Everest on whether we can use custom QR or barcodes or if they have to be OSS provided.
You can use custom. We'll need that identifier, the asset ID, to be able to tie back to what's in the our assets mobile app and our assets list. But you can certainly use your own custom.
Amazing. And then last question was on whether or not we can read RFID.
Currently, for this particular release, we won't be reading RFID. That's something we're looking at a little bit longer term, just because of the additional technology hardware that is required with RFID. For this particular release, we'll support QR codes as well as barcode scanning.
Amazing. Thank you, Fallon.
Yeah. Absolutely. So just to recap really quick, what we just demoed, we released custom fields. This is to give you the ability to track exactly what matters to you, to capture the details that matter to your organization and help make those business decisions, those critical business decisions, a little bit easier for you. We want to make this software as customizable and flexible as we can for you, and ultimately allow you to control this experience of tracking the assets and the details that matter most to you. And then the Asset Mobile Scan, our mobile app. Again, we want to help enable field teams to capture real-time updates, scan in those assets directly from their phones, make updates directly from your phone, and work faster on the spot as opposed to prolonging an already painful process. We want to make it as easy and streamlined as possible for you. Perfect. So that's what we just released. I wanted to talk very briefly on some of the upcoming features that we have coming very, very soon, particularly for this work order calendar view. So this is the ability to see all of your upcoming work orders across the board in a calendar view. It's meant to be a streamlined, centralized place where you can see what's going on just at a high level, eagle eye view. This is to help you better allocate resources, to understand, what upcoming priorities are due, and just generally plan better and prioritize better for your organization. This way, you'll never miss a deadline. You'll stay on track. You know what's coming. You know if you have a particularly heavy day versus a light day and how to reallocate as a result of that. So really providing that high level visibility that you can't do within a spreadsheet today, right? That's what we're aiming for.
Seeing a lot of reactions come through and excitement about this feature. As we mentioned earlier, and Ali noted that we co-create features with our clients. This is actually a request that came through from our clients that we were able to deliver. So again, keeping that feedback coming is just really helpful for us on the product side.
Absolutely. And what we have, we're working effortlessly towards today is the ability to visualize your assets on the floor plan in OfficeSpace. So the idea is that you have these assets that you're tracking, you're managing within our assets software. However, those are very real things. They are very real items that you also want to be able to visualize either from Move Manager to be able to move those assets or to just generally be able to see and understand exactly where they live. This is to help you provide better information. You can see that asset location directly tied to the asset information. You can work smarter across your tools. No longer do you have to work in two siloed workflows, but what makes sense is moving effortlessly between both of these products, and that's what we want to enable, right? We want to meet you where your work is currently getting done. And then ultimately, we just want to ensure, as kind of a note, that the assets that are being shown, you still have full control over the visibility and the access of the assets. We know that assets, can be, not only can they be kind of cluttering for particular, so for instance, an employee doesn't necessarily need to see where an HVAC unit is, but also there are some more sensitive assets that we might not want to show to everyone across the board. With this particular feature, you'll still be able to control that visibility, control that access of who sees what, so that only the folks that need to see these particular assets can see that. At the same time, we want to enable those workflows so that you can see those assets and make it just a little bit easier for you.
So hopefully that answered your question, Everest, in terms of toggling visibility. As Fallon just mentioned, customizable, you will be able to do that on the asset level to ensure that you can control who sees what.
Exactly. So on an asset by asset level, you'd be able to set, right, what gets shown to who. Perfect. And we have another Mentimeter that we would love to get your input on. As we talk about visualizing assets on the floor plan, we're interested to know what is the main reason that you'd like to see your assets on a floor plan? Some examples that we've heard from different end users is just being able to more quickly find that particular asset. Again, the HVAC unit is a great example. You know, we waste a lot of time trying to figure out which specific HVAC is where. Just being able to more easily wayfind, to be able to speed up compliance checks. So being able to see every fire extinguisher that you have at one time and being able to quickly go through that, you know, understanding, okay, we need to go to this floor, take a left here to do those compliance checks. Just generally reducing errors during moves, as well as improving incident and emergency response is a very real response, or a very real feedback that we've heard. Awesome. Awesome. So seeing a lot around user experience, whether it be onboarding, making sure that folks have what they need, as well as safety, right? Being able to improve that security and emergency response. That's awesome. Great. Thank you for that feedback. Please continue to provide feedback as I move on. I know we have just a few more minutes left. I want to talk about what we have coming up after we're visualizing assets on a floor plan. So some of our upcoming roadmap highlights, and it's worth noting that visualizing assets on a floor plan is just phase one of a longer integration path that we are planning between Workplace, OfficeSpace as it exists today, and assets. We want to meet all these different points and integrate them to, again, make your experience within this platform an entirely seamless user experience. So some of the things that we're thinking about and planning on delivering is location-based assignment. So being able to see assets being tied to rooms, desks, and storage in office space, as well as them being able to move those assets. You know, if I have an employee that's moving from desk 1 to desk 2, that employee has particular assets, whether it be monitors, keyboards, laptops, whatever it may be, easily moving those assets along with that employee from desk 1 to desk 2, so that we have that updated information and more streamlined data flow. We also are intending to integrate work orders. So this would be being able to tie preventative and reactive tasks in Request Manager to worker orders in Asset Manager. So the idea being that I, as an employee, I'm sitting in my office, all of a sudden it gets really hot. So I put in a request, I say it's way too hot, I pin exactly where I'm at on the floor plan. That request goes over to the request manager. The request manager looks at it, says, oh, that is an asset, that's a technician issue. That particular request gets pushed over to assets as a work order. Technician sees exactly where that particular request was put in, says, oh, I know exactly what HVAC unit that is. They tie the asset of the HVAC unit to that work order. They complete the work on that work order. It gets resolved. It starts cooling down quickly. All of that information gets pushed back over to Workplace for a complete end-to-end workflow, from employee to request manager to technician back to employee. And then finally, asset reservations. So similar to how you can reserve a desk, the exact same idea would be being able to reserve an asset. So something we commonly hear is lab equipment, the ability to schedule ahead of time, the ability to reserve that particular asset is something that we're looking at so that you can understand utilization and allocation of those more expensive assets, and then again, make business decisions as a result of that. And that's just some of the things that we have coming up for our asset software. And we have one final question for you. We're just interested to know, which of these features are you most excited about? Any of the ones that we've just released, some things that we have, some of the features that we have upcoming, or a little bit longer down the roadmap. What are you most excited about? Or something potentially other?
We love getting this real-time feedback. It helps us in our product prioritization. So thank you all so much for sharing your feedback and insights. Sounds like we've got the right items on our roadmap, not a lot of others. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Fallon, for the overview. Wanted to open it up for questions. We had a couple more within the chat, so I'll go ahead and pose those over to Fallon. So there was a question on whether or not we have Jira integration supported today.
Yes, we do. We can support through our API, we can support integrating with Jira. More than happy to, whoever asked, more than happy to hop on a call and talk that through.
Amazing. And I see, Bill, you had a question or hand raised. I wanted to give you an opportunity to come off mute if you want, or to leverage the chat in order to ask your question.
I accidentally hit that button. I was
Oh,
looking
okay.
for making sure I was on mute and I went through and I hit it accidentally. So sorry about that.
No worries. Just want to make sure you have the opportunity to talk. Well, I know we covered a lot today, from what's new and in assets as well as to what's on the horizon. If you haven't had a chance to drop in a question or would like to follow up separately, we want to make sure you get those answered. So what we can also do is, any follow-up questions you have, feel free to let us know. We appreciate the active participation. And one question I have before we start to wrap things up here, there was some feedback on onboarding in terms of use cases for leveraging our assets and floor plan display. Would love to get a sense of that use case. If you could either chat in a response or give us a little bit of feedback there, I think that's a nuance that we'd love to make sure that we cover. All right, with that, I will go ahead and hand it off to Allie to wrap us up here.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you being here with us. And for those of you who are existing clients, I just wanted to call out some of that cool functionality as well that is coming that will really work with what you have with Request Manager in your current system. So if you're not using Request Manager today, reach out to us. We'd love to show you how to get that going quickly. It's included in the Essentials and Pro. And now you can see the extra value that it's even going to be providing. So really excited to see that. We are going to be at IFMA, and if you are also going to be at IFMA, we would love to see you. Really important things to call out. There's going to be a live session with OpenAI, and Andres, our Chief Product Officer. You do not want to miss that. It's going to be really an amazing session. And of course, a client appreciation happy hour. Never turn down a free drink. So we'd love to see you at both of those events. You can scan that QR code as well if you want to book some time with someone at the booth, go over your plan, go over more questions with assets. We're also doing AI consultations there as well. So you want to talk about your strategy. We're hearing from a lot of clients that this is really becoming something they're asked for a lot, and we want to help you guide that sort of conversation as well. So again, thank you for joining. We appreciate your time. Really looking forward to continue that conversation, maybe in person at IFMA, and if not, we can set up some time to chat online. Thank you, everyone.